Pxlarized is one of the best fighters on the region, consistently dropping high kill games and ranked in tournaments. I've reviewed all of his best games from this season and listed the top 10 things you need to do to fight like him. First is his cone phase. Back in chapter 4, you used to be able to place builds through walls, which was incredibly strong. However, you could still place a cone through a box if you look down in this area just under the wall. The only time this won't work is if there's a floor in front of you or a wall under the box. Pxlarized abuses this, forcing players to make a move and predicts where they're going. To practice this, you could go into creative and build a wall, then place a cone under it until you're used to where you gotta put your crosshair. I like to add this wall edit and cone after, because if the opponent gets caught in the cone, they're most likely gonna edit down and you'll catch them on it. If you're struggling with getting the placement consistently, you can place a cone in front of you, edit it, and then you can easily get the cone in the box. I recommend you get used to a regular version though, because once you master it, you could effortlessly slide cones in the boxes and get free kills like Pxlarized does here. The reason you see Pxlarized doing the cone phase so often is because he knows how important it is to take advantage of missing pieces in a box. If you don't have a cone in your box, he's guaranteed to put a cone or stair into it because it forces you to react. Most players react by leaving their box, which he predicts the direction they're going in, then pieces it to get a free kill. You already saw the example with the cone phase. He trapped the players so their only options were to edit down or break out the cone. A lot of players' instinct is to get out the box the fastest way possible, so Pxlarized instantly pieces that and catches them almost every time. In this example, he forces a stare into the opponent's box and very easily predicts them running out to the right. If you're the player on the defensive and you want to know how to counter this, first of all, put a cone in your box. Secondly, edit out your back. Every other direction can be pieced before you can escape, so this is the safest option. Pxlarized also takes advantage of missing pieces by holding that piece until the opponent makes an edit that allows him to take it. You can see here, his opponent tries to edit and shoot, but as soon as they do, he places a stare in their face and usually has a free shot since the opponent shoots a stare. This applies for floors and walls as well. If you see a piece missing, you can bait your opponent to edit, then place the build and get a free shot.
Ready?
Just don't make it too obvious that you're trying to do that, because if a player sees you holding your map out, they can counter it by placing the build and editing. The next move is one you probably already used but more optimal. On the Mongrel Classic, instead of editing the stair like this where you might not be able to see your opponent and allow them to escape, you want to edit it sideways where you're guaranteed to see them and may be able to trap them on the stair, giving you an easy shot. Make sure when you do this, you're still protected by your wall. Your opponent's going to try to trade or run at you, so make sure you're aware of that and try to take the least amount of damage possible. Another simple but effective edit he does is editing these 3 tiles when someone is close to his wall. He does it here to finish the fight without taking damage as opposed to a peanut butter, because it's impossible for him to get hit here. This edit in general is difficult to get hit off of if done correctly. You can see your opponent's body while they can only see your feet if at all. If your wall is getting pressure close up and you don't know what edit to make, this is the one. Now, a move I only saw him do it once but has worked really well for me is this close peanut butter peek. When pressuring from this angle, the most common edit you'll see is a peanut butter, but usually the player makes the edit before they're fully protected and you could pre-fire them. But if they properly peek on the peanut butter, they can't get hit but are likely to get a pump on you since you're pressuring the wall. As good as Pxlarized mechanics are, when in build fights, the main thing he's looking to do is high walls and cones. It may look a little more advanced at times, but he's not looking at build to max height with the player. His goal is to cut off the opponent's building path and piece and predict where they're going next to box them. An overlooked part of fighting and piece control specifically is crosshair placement, and Pxlarized is really good. Anytime he gets a wall on a player, he's able to claim any open wall, even at difficult angles, because of it. In this example from a while ago, he was able to claim the back and left wall, all while being behind the peanut butter since he held his crosshair high up. If it was any lower, he wouldn't have been able to get that wall and the player would have escaped. If you want to learn how to improve your crosshair placement, I made a full guide which I'll link in the description. When he has a player fully boxed, he doesn't rush to make a play either. I know sometimes I'll have a player fully boxed and am eager to edit on them and end up taking damage or getting ran at. If you have the opponent fully boxed, they can't do anything but try to break out or react to you. The 2 most common things Pxlarized would do is wait for them to be looking in a different direction or bait them into shooting to get a free pump. Baiting shots is another thing Pxlarized does that's super useful in fights. If you get a player to shoot, they have pump delay, which is long enough for you to make an edit and pump them for free. This works on players of all skill levels too. You can see in this clip, Pxlarized does this to a pro who qualified for the global championship. Staying on the topic of baiting, Pxlarized does a good job of reading and baiting opponents' pickaxe swings. Reading your opponents before making a play is the most important thing when fighting. You can't just make a move without being aware of what your opponent is doing. If they have their gun out, you know you can't make a wide A because they're ready to shoot you. but if they have their pickaxe out and they're swinging, you can make that edit and get free damage. I can't name the amount of times I watched this happen, but in ranked, Pxlarized would be boxed up and a player would drop on the stair and instantly swing on the wall. I beg, if you take nothing else from this video, do not instantly swing after dropping on a stair. It's the most telegraphed move possible and sets up the opponent for free damage every time. A better alternative to this is editing a stair on top of the box so you can't get coned, then drop down with your gun out because the player is most likely going to edit, and more often than not, they're not making a protected peak so you get free damage. You also want to get into the habit of using your gun to damage walls instead of your pickaxe. If you mess up a swing, a good player will capitalize on it almost every time like Pxlarized did in these clips. I didn't cover much about playing defensive since Pxlarized is W keying the entire game, but when he gets cracked, he instantly makes space to try to get heals off, then uses those boxes for crossbox peaks and blueprint edge to safely get counter damage. A lot of people make the mistake of making a bunch of space, but get pressured and make more boxes instead of using the ones they already built, burning all their mats. When utilizing the space you made, you can get opponents to pressure from left hand peaks or go into builds which allows you to get free damage like he does here. If you apply all these things to your fighting, I guarantee you'll improve significantly. I put Pxlarized channel in the description, be sure to follow him there if you aren't already. And if you want to see me do this with another player, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed or learned something from this video, be sure to like and subscribe and use code HOWL in the item shop. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.